And good morning. Major developments overnight here in Arizona and in Washington, D.C. We learned late Saturday that Arizona Senator John McCain underwent surgery Friday at Phoenix's Mayo Clinic for a blood clot above his left eye. Doctors say the surgery went well and the 80-year-old senator will be recovering at home for the next week. But McCain's absence from the Senate led Republican Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to delay his plan to push an Obamacare repeal through the Senate this week. McConnell can't afford to lose even one vote. McCain had said last week he was undecided. It is unclear when or if that repeal vote will take place. On today's show, did Donald Trump Jr. commit treason by meeting with that Russian lawyer? We get insights from an Arizona author who wrote a history of treason in America. Dreamers face a new threat that could boot them out of the country. And are politicians violating your constitutional rights by blocking you on social media? But first, the potential Arizona impact of the Senate's Obamacare repeal and replacement. Republican state lawmakers, business leaders, and healthcare providers came out in opposition last week. Here's some of that reaction, followed by an interview recorded before the Senate vote was delayed.
Children make up about 50% of Medicaid enrollment, but their care only accounts for 20% of the program's costs. These drastic cuts in Medicaid not only threaten the health care of our most vulnerable populations, they punish one of Medicaid's most efficient programs.
And joining us this morning to talk about that Arizona impact are Republican State Representative Heather Carter of Cave Creek. She is chairwoman of the House Health Committee, and Jennifer Meller, Vice President of Economic Development for the Greater Phoenix Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to you both. Heather Carter, you are a Republican speaking out against a bill that is the Republican goal, has been the Republican goal for the last 7 years. Why are you doing it?
Well, as the House Health Chairwoman for the state of Arizona, I am very concerned about the current iteration of this bill and the impact that it has on the state of Arizona. And if you look at what we did in 2013 with our Republican governor at that time, Governor Jan Brewer, we made some common sense decisions in Arizona, and I'm concerned that those decisions could be rolled back.
Well, let's talk about that decision for a minute, because you were part of a small group of Republicans who voted with Jan Brewer and all the Democrats to pass the Medicaid expansion. Other Republicans warned at the time this would come back to bite us. Are they right? Is that what's happening right now?
Well, actually, the way the bill is currently drafted, it goes deeper and further than anything that was put in place by the Affordable Care Act. And so in Arizona, we know that our Medicaid program is the gold standard nationally. It is the most efficient and effective system in terms of delivering care to our most vulnerable population. And so we hear Republicans in Arizona right now, the governor, Doug Ducey himself said, we do not want to see the rug pulled out from underneath the Republicans. We've seen our Republican Senator, John McCain, say that he is concerned about the impact that this bill in its current state would have on the state of Arizona. And we've also been able to communicate with Senator Jeff Flake as well. And so I think we want to make sure that we're making the best decisions we can in Arizona for our Arizona residents, and we want to make sure that our federal delegation knows how it will impact our state.
All right, Jennifer Meller, I want to go to you because there is a big economic impact. ASU did a study a few months back talking about a healthcare recession if Obamacare is repealed, completely repealed, up to 60,000 jobs lost in the first year. Explain that. How would that ripple through the economy?
Absolutely. We have healthcare has been a huge economic driver for our state. It's actually one of the industries that drove us through the Great Recession. We have over 60,000 healthcare jobs here in the local economy that contribute about $8 billion to our local economics.
And there's also perhaps a larger impact in rural areas where hospitals are the foundation of the economy.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we saw with the expansion of Medicaid was a 60% decrease in the uncompensated care that hospitals were absorbing. And those impacts are felt greatly in the rural communities.
So, and this is the big thing, though. It's the uncompensated care, the so-called charity care that hospitals had to absorb after Arizona made Medicaid cuts in 2011.
Right.
Our hospitals were hit hard. And so is that the ripple? If they have to start taking charity cases again, uncompensated cases, is that where the greatest pain comes?
I think you start to see that pain ripple through. So that care doesn't doesn't just get absorbed by the hospitals. It really gets passed on to businesses in the form of a hidden healthcare tax. It's increasing your premiums, my premiums, which ultimately impacts all of our businesses.
So much of the focus here in Arizona is on Medicaid, and yet people like John McCain and Doug Ducey have said we want Obamacare repealed, the marketplace piece of it. What about the marketplace piece of it? You know, many of your constituents are unhappy. I know many small business owners are unhappy with it. What do you want Congress to do there?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because Obamacare is not working in the state of Arizona. And where we've really seen the greatest impact is in the exchanges. I walk my district on a regular basis and talk to constituents, and the insurance premiums skyrocketed. The deductibles were unaffordable for many families, and our choice collapsed from many choices on the exchange to 1 or 2 choices in all of our counties. And so if you want to repeal and replace Obamacare, that's the area where I think we need to pay attention to. But the challenge is Medicaid is working and Medicaid is not Obamacare.
But what about, there's kind of a crossover population to some extent, Medicaid and on the exchanges. There are 120,000 people in Maricopa County who are on the exchanges. Many of them can't afford health insurance any other way. They're not small business owners, and they need this. So how do you help them?
We need to make sure that the exchanges, if they continue to move forward, are functioning. If not, we need to replace it with something that is more of a free market, consumer-friendly product. And that is where I think that Congress needs to be paying attention to. We need to be fixing what's broke with the Affordable Care Act instead of creating a whole new host of programs by damaging our Medicaid system.
Jennifer Meller and Heather Carter, are you okay if Congress just says, we're not doing this, let's just start over again? You okay if Congress says, let's just start over, the Republicans?
Absolutely not. We need to see a common sense reform that provides quality health care to all Arizonans.
But not this bill?
This bill is not right in the current form.
Start over?
Well, I think the process is a lot more complicated than just a simple start over. Anything could happen with this bill. There could be amendments that are offered that make this bill more palatable to the state of Arizona. And so I think it's a wait and see. We have to see what Congress will do in the next week.
So you still think there's hope?
We need to replace Obamacare.
All right. Thanks so much, Heather Carter and Jennifer Meller.